Hello everyone, welcome to Auntie M Interprets, where I go down various theological rabbit holes and see what I can find. In the next 3 videos, I'll be exploring the gods of Sarah, Rebecca, and Rachel, who are, by the way, also the gods of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And yes, I said gods, plural. One of the biggest lies that Christianity tells itself is the lie of monotheism. This is common within the religious traditions that claim descent, whether by blood or adoption, from the patriarch Abraham. The surest evidence that this doctrine does not work lies in the elaborate supernatural hierarchies of traditional Christian theology. There are multiple choirs of angels, supernatural beings who act as messengers or agents of God, with divine power that they use in his service. There are, of course, demons who abused the powers given to them by God, fallen from heaven and forever existing in opposition to the divine. This is what humans were created for, to fill in the gap left by the fallen 10th choir. Of course, most humans aren't good enough, but some are, the saints and patriarchs, for example. Now, all of these beings have supernatural powers. They can heal, cause storms and earthquakes, they can harm, they can work various miracles. In short, all the things that gods do in other pantheons. Add into this mix the idea of God's Son, Jesus, Jesus' supernaturally pure and almost divine Mother Mary, and you have what looks like a typical polytheistic pantheon. And it acts like one, too. So, even though Christianity claims to be monotheistic, it is often functionally indistinguishable from polytheism. This makes things confusing, and theologians have been making it more so for the last 1,000 years and more. So, instead of wading through everything that so many people have written over the past several thousand years to explain and justify the monopolytheism of Christianity, which starts with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and continues to today, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to look at the women. What about Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel? What about their beliefs? And what about the archaeological framework of it all? Can we reconcile the book of Genesis with the archaeological record? Of course we can, or at least we can try. Question 1 is, of course, who is Sarah? Because we're used to hearing about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we don't usually think about their wives, Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah, and Rachel, and Bilhah, and Zilpah. But I'm a woman, and I'm tired of being expected to think, speak, and believe in patriarchy. So I'm going to talk about all of this as a woman. Once upon a time, and we're dealing with myth and legend here, so who knows for sure, but somewhere in between the founding of the first cities and the growth of the early empires, so let's say between 3000 to 2000 BCE, there was a woman named Sarah. Sarah was the daughter of a woman whose name we don't know, and a man named Terah. He had at least one more wife, whose name we don't know either, and 3 sons, Abraham, Haran, and Nahor. When they were all growing up as kids, Sarah and Abraham were known as Sarai and Abram. They got an extra H added to their names later. The book of Genesis tells us that this rather large household lived in Ur, in what is historically known as Sumeria. So, what was Sumeria like once upon a time? How might little Sarai have grown up? Ancient Sumeria was located on the plains of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. It was a loosely connected group of city-states who shared similar beliefs and customs. Uruk and Ur are among the oldest cities in the region, and although Uruk was more important, Ur was pretty significant too. Close to the center of the city of Ur, the reconstructed monumental ziggurat visible today probably wasn't part of Sarah's world, but the god it was built for was. This ziggurat was dedicated to Nana, the Sumerian god of the moon, who was the patron god of Ur from its earliest founding, and one of the most important gods of ancient Sumeria, at least from a practical point of view. Sarah would have known this god very well. Nana, or Sin, or however you want to say his name, was the god of the moon, and he usually used the crescent moon as his symbol. Another symbol was the bull, because Nana wasn't just the god of the moon. He was a pastoralist god who watched over cowherds most famously, but also, of course, goatherds and shepherds, like the people of Sarah's family. No matter how important Nana was to the people of Ur, however, there were a few gods who were more important. One of them was the moon's father, a god named Enlil, who was the god of the mountains and the winds. His name is sometimes translated as the ghost god or the spirit god, and he was worshipped best at Nippur. Enki, or Ea, is just as old as Enlil. He was the god of the Abzu, the great waters under the world, and he is the one who created people. He is associated with miracles and magic and wisdom, and with the great things of civilization. His center of worship was at Eridu. The father of all the gods is An, or Anu. His symbol is also the bull, but not the bull of the crescent moon. Anu's symbol is Taurus, one of the earliest signs of the zodiac. Here it is, right next to the constellation we call Orion. Being the father of the gods, Anu had a lot of temples in a lot of places, but one of the most important was at Uruk. There's another god who was worshipped at Uruk who can also be associated with the earliest signs of the zodiac, a god, or rather a goddess, that young Sarai would have known quite well. This is, of course, the goddess Inanna. Some of the earliest depictions of the goddess associate her with reeds and with the fertility of the land. By the time of the First Empire, however, she gets a name change, becoming Ishtar, has an 8-pointed star that we call Venus as her symbol, and is equipped with wings on her back and a lion at her feet. This lion is another one of the earliest signs of the zodiac, of course, the constellation Leo. And now it's time for a bit of a tangent, because Inanna, or Ishtar, was one of the most popular goddesses in the Sumerian pantheon, and because this imagery, this idea of the woman and the lion, is not unique to Sumeria. One of the earliest cities that has ever been excavated, Çatalhöyük in Turkey, has a sculpture of a large, fat, nude woman who is often interpreted as giving birth, making her a mother. She sits on what can only be described as a throne in between two great cats. Thousands of years later, in a totally different cultural context, the same iconography and the same meaning appear together again, which is totally not normal. The Great Mother, Mater Magna, seated on a throne between two lions. If you're thinking about the cat goddesses of Egypt right about now, good, they're mothers too. And don't forget, she is still worshipped today as Durga, or sometimes Parvati, in Hindu theology. And if you care to pay attention, An or Anu's shadow appears too, as Shiva and his bull. This is Sarah's world, the way she would have grown up. This is the pantheon she and her brothers knew. Their God wasn't the only God in the universe, far from it. There were gods everywhere. But, I hear you say, but Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, but sacrifices to the Lord and miraculous rescues and ladders to heaven and all. How can anyone possibly claim that those pagan ancient deities have anything to do with how Christians might want to believe today? Oh, that's coming in parts 2 and 3. Thanks for watching.